Hello! Welcome to the Massachusetts General Hospital Frontal Temporal Disorders Unit Community Forum Friday webinar series. My name is Katie Brandt. I'm the Director of Caregiver Support Services and Public Relations for the MGH FTD unit, and I will be your host for today's session, Connection, Care, and Support, Navigating Life with Dementia, a spotlight on the MGH Dementia Care Collaborative Program. This is an incredibly important session because it highlights a valuable resource for families who are living life with a diagnosis of dementia. For those of you who follow the educational programming from the MGH FTD unit, you know that we have expertise within our clinical research program. And we also place a high value on our connections with colleagues within our greater Mass General Hospital system and outside with our community experts. This is because we know that a successful care plan for a person living with a diagnosis of dementia incorporates care and support from many different places. We hope that today's session will connect you with more resources for education as a caregiver, support so that you are not alone on your journey, and validation that care for the caregiver is part of a treatment plan for dementia. Now, I'm honored to introduce our expert speaker. Susan Rowlett has served as the program director for the MGH Dementia Care Collaborative since 2017. She serves as social work clinician for the Caregiver Support Program in Geriatric Psychiatry and Geriatric Medicine Consultation Service. She led the Alzheimer's Association's establishment of care consultation services for families beginning in 2005, has written multiple curricula on dementia and caregiving, and has worked for 14 years specifically focused on helping those living with dementia and their caregivers to have the best possible life despite the diagnosis. Susan received her master's degree in social work from Boston College. And I can say personally that whenever I've had the opportunity to listen to Susan present or work with her, I know I always learn something. So Susan, welcome to our program today.
Thank you so much, Katie. It's such an honor to be here, and thank you for that lovely introduction. I think I will pull up my slides here and just get started. So today I'm going to, as Katie introduced, I'm going to be spotlighting the Dementia Care Collaborative at Massachusetts General Hospital. This is a fun thing for me to do. It is my heart and soul, and will be just a joy for me to tell you about all the work that we're doing and all the people that we have been touching so far, and look forward to serving in the future. More and more people. We're looking forward to a lot of growth, and we're looking for everyone to participate who is interested and needs our services at all. So the Dementia Care Collaborative, I'll start out with that. It's an umbrella term that encompasses 4 different programs. One of them is the Caregiver Support Program, which is what I'm really going to focus on today. But we also have a very vibrant research program. We highly value our MGB and Mass General Hospital partnerships, including with our community health centers. Our memory care initiative is a very interesting pilot program that is embedded in primary care. So it's a study where we're trying to see if it is a good thing for a nurse practitioner and a social worker to be embedded in primary care, specifically to work with families who are living with dementia. So we think it's a pretty good idea. We just have to prove to people that it is. So that's what they're doing over there in the memory care initiative, and it's been very successful so far. So what I'm mainly going to focus on today, though, is the Caregiver Support Program. So we had the honor of reaching about almost a little less than 3,000 people in 2021. So we hope to double that. That's our goal in 2022. And I think we can do it. So what is the Caregiver Support Program exactly? The caregiver support program includes, the first thing it includes is individualized consultations and family meetings. And what that entails is a meeting that can include the person with dementia. If that person is interested and wants to participate, we try to include every person living with dementia that we can in our meetings. The primary care partner, family, friends, whoever is involved in supporting the person is welcome to attend our family meetings. Sometimes we meet individually with a primary caregiver. And then these meetings are led by social workers. So our family caregiver support program is really driven by social work. So we have 3 social workers right now that I'll talk a little bit more about later. So right now, during this time of COVID, everything we're doing is by Zoom or by telephone. I didn't say that on this slide, but certainly if not everyone does Zoom, we're doing a lot of old-fashioned telephone calls, even for family meetings, and it works beautifully. So whatever works for each family. The purpose of this meeting is really disease education, learning about symptom management strategies and skills, planning for short and long-term future. What do we need right now? What are the most immediate needs? And what can we think about for more medium and long-term needs? Connection to community resources. And when I say that, I have this image in my mind of handing someone a list of, say, adult day health programs or a list of whatever resource someone's looking for. Really what we try to do is to help people figure out what is it that their family needs? What are they looking for in a program? And then trying to help them match with the program that will best serve their needs within reason and give them choices to go and visit and look at. But how do you make it successful? Sure, it's one thing to find a program that you like, but then how do you make that successful for the person living with dementia who we hope will be benefiting from the program, as well as the care partners and family. So connection to community resources is a big part of not just who and where, but how we make it work. So the other part is the connection to the community of people who understand, community of peers, other caregivers, other support people, other experts. So that's a big part of what we do. So now I'll talk about our primary referral services, our primary referral sources, and how people can get connected to our programs. What makes you eligible for this individual consultation service? We really receive a lot of referrals from doctors within Massachusetts General Hospital. So from neurology, geriatric psychiatry, medicine, geriatric medicine, but also palliative care. Home-based palliative care are all referral sources for us. But people are also eligible to just reach out to us and through our email or through our website. If it seems that the consultation is what is most effective and helpful and what you need at that time, that is what we will provide for you. So it may be, though, that we will refer you to one of our other programs, which I'll talk about now. So the next thing I want to talk about is our fundamental skills for dementia caregivers. If I had my dream that when people get in to see a doctor and receive a diagnosis or are in the process of learning about what a possible diagnosis might be, I love the individual consultation to really help people talk in depth and in a safe space about their personal situation. Then what I would love for care partners to be able to do is to enter this time-limited 3-part series of education about how to live with the disease successfully. There are skills that we can teach you. It's so helpful to learn actual skills. So the first class is Speaking the Language of Dementia, a New Way of Communicating. So it really focuses on what is happening to a person with dementia in terms of their ability to communicate and their ability to understand. With that, we're able to talk about how can care partners be most helpful in communicating and really learning new ways of communicating, which is something you never thought you might have to learn to do when you're caring for someone that you have known for so long and you know so well, but just learning some tricks, some little strategies that you may be able to adjust can change your way of communicating in such a beautiful way. Really can't say enough about it, how important it is and how useful it is. The second class is about minimizing behavioral symptoms, understand why things happen and how we can best help. The third class is about safety, really how we maximize independence, how do we balance independence and safety. We really want people to be set up to problem solve with confidence. That's a lofty goal, but it's wonderful when people are armed with a lot of tools in their toolkit when they finish this course to be able to have confidence in themselves and their caregiving skills. So we have added a fourth session that's just wrap up and discussion, because by the end of the third class, everyone wants more. So it always feels sort of like a abrupt ending right after we finish the content. So we've added a fourth session for wrap up and more discussion. I think the other beautiful part of this program is that there is a teacher and there's content, but I think people learn the most from discussing their lived experiences with each other. So that's also a first introduction to meeting peers in your community of people who are living the same experience that you are. So fundamental skills is great to do early on. So the next thing I want to talk about is monthly support groups. And this picture here is Barbara Moskowitz, who leads both the fundamental skills and our monthly support groups. So I just put in some fun facts just so you would know a little bit about our support groups. We have 4 groups, each meeting once a month. We started virtually. We went right online as soon as COVID started in March of 2020. We were up and running by April. So the first group that we have has been going on for, I think now at this point, it's 30 years. So it's kind of exciting that we're carrying on that Mass General tradition, and we're continuing that group over time. It's a very vibrant group to this day. We have a new group that we started 3 days ago that is full and running, and a third group that meets in the evening. So we try to have different options of times of day and day of the week. We have a fourth group that we're expected to launch this month in the Revere Health Center. So we're hoping that gets off the ground as soon as possible. So each group has a 20 to 25 member list, and average attendance is about 10, I would say more like 14 or 15 people come every month. So the interesting part of it is we're constantly sort of seeing who still needs to be in the group, who hasn't attended in a while, so that we always have openings for new people to come in. So thus far, we have not had to have a waiting list, but we are sort of at our capacity, but we will make sure if we do meet that capacity, that people are connected with another support group in their community or put on our waiting list. No one will go without. If you seek a support group through us, we will figure it out with you. So another exciting part, this is something new that I got to explore when I came to Mass General, which is health and resiliency. I have to laugh about it because I had a caregiver once who just would let me have it if I ever let the word slips to take care of yourself. She said, I don't know what that means. That means nothing to me. It's so cliche, right? So every time those words would escape from my mouth, she would wad up a piece of paper and throw it at me. And I never forgot the lesson that she taught me. So I started exploring how can we help people really learn to care for themselves? What skills can we teach that just to make little adjustments and little changes in our daily lifestyle that will help us to stay healthy and to stay joyful and productive in our own lives. So we created Health and Resiliency Tuesdays, and I just have down here some of the classes that we teach. It's very experiential. I think the first one that's on the list, I just have to mention was so fantastic. Everything is done virtually. Yoga Nidra is about breathing for restful sleep and deeper sleep. So it was so beneficial for people, and everyone was so eager to learn. I thought people might turn off their cameras when we went to practice this. No, everybody had their cameras on, and they got in their beds and they pulled their sheets up, and everybody just breathed together and followed this practice for restful sleep. It was magical to me. I thought it was fantastic. But we do a lot of movement things. We've done Tai Chi, we've done Ageless Grace, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more. We've done some music therapy, which includes a jazz concert, and we've had a classical music concert. So those have been fun to do. But we just have a number of things that are experiential and really give you an opportunity to have a taste of some things that, one, you can take on and do in your own home on your own, or seek out a class in the community that might be good for you. So the Caregiver Support Program has been really excited to incorporate this program, Ageless Grace. And I know Katie can speak to Ageless Grace. It's a music and movement program. The music is fantastic. First of all, there's a different set list every week. And our teacher, Nori Mazzone, who's pictured here, is a certified Ageless Grace teacher. It's based on science of neuroplasticity. So it really takes you through a series of different exercises and lessons that get your body moving in simple but different ways that really help to, if you're doing something backwards, you may have heard of trying to eat or write with your opposite hand than you normally do. It's sort of something similar to that. That's a really good exercise for your brain, but bringing in the music and the laughter is so good for our spirits. So it's a very popular class, and I encourage everyone to give it a try. You can even sit and watch and laugh. Another great thing about it is because it's virtual, people are joining from across the country. So we have people whose daughter may live in Virginia, and they both tune in, so they get to see each other through the class. It's multi-generational. People are including their grandkids. And so sometimes 2 or 3 generations are on in the activity all at once. It's really been a beautiful thing. And this is something the other than our individual consultations is the one thing that is really available for you to participate with the person you're caring for. So something that you find that you can do together. And it sort of enlivens us to remember to bring music into our daily lives and movement into our daily lives, even when we're not in the class. So Conversations with Caregivers is the next thing I want to talk about. It's sort of our flagship program. It's a monthly lecture series that's given by experts either in the hospital or in the community that have been supporters of our program, or who are researchers in Massachusetts, or who are physicians within Mass General. So we had an art therapist come who really talked about how and why art can be so useful for interaction between people with dementia and the care partner, and what a form of expression it can be. So it was a really beautiful, interesting presentation. But we've also talked about just basic tools for the caregiver. We've learned about palliative care and hospice, what the difference is, and how to access those things across the trajectory of dementia. Every year we talk about estate planning and legal and financial planning. And then we also always, I didn't put on here, but every year we have a research update. I can say that next month, Bonnie Wong will be joining us to talk about music and rhythm, and how that is so good for neuroplasticity as well. She's going to have a lot to say. So this is really something that we started out doing. This is a picture of one of the first programs that we had when we were in a tiny little room, and then we moved to a larger auditorium, and we're having 60, 75 people come. When COVID came and we moved virtually, we were able to reach hundreds of people. rather than having to drive into Mass General and get here, at 6 o'clock for a presentation. It's much, much more helpful to be able to just hop online when you're having dinner, turn it on and listen, turn off your camera and just listen to the great presentations that we have each month. So that's really it. That's the 6 programs that encompass the caregiver support program: the individualized consultations, the fundamental skills, the support groups, the health and resiliency programs, including Ageless Grace, and our Conversations with Caregivers monthly lecture series. So how do you get involved? If your doctor is MGH, asked to be referred, you can go to our website under the Contact Us and send an email with whatever questions you have. And it will either be answered by our coordinator, or will be sent to one of the social work clinicians, depending on what your question is. So you can ask whatever question is on your mind. You can call us directly, and you can add your name to our distribution list. We send out a newsletter every month with all of the events that are coming up. We also send out invitations for the events like the Conversations for Caregivers and the Health and Resiliency Tuesdays. We'll send out invitations every month for those that you can register right there and get the Zoom link. So that's the program. I can't have this presentation without talking about the team. Like I said, we actually have 4 social workers, if you include our social worker in the memory care initiative. And we have 2 amazing operations folks who keep things rolling and keep us together. And of course, our amazing director, Christine Ritchie, who has so many titles. It surely means she's fabulous as she is. She's really, really wonderful and a great leader for this program. So like I said, we anticipate a lot of growth this year, and we look forward to welcoming everybody into our arms, to our community, and hope that people find benefit from it. So Katie, do you have any questions?
Well, I want to start by thanking you, Susan. I want to thank you not only for coming and giving your time and expertise to our program for today, but to just thank you for the work that you're doing. I think, thinking about the consultation piece, the education piece, the support piece, they all come together to reflect the diverse needs that families have. One of the questions I had, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what inspired the Dementia Care Collaborative. Like, why did this become an important initiative at MGH?
Well, I will tell you that the years that I worked in the field before coming to MGH, we were getting a lot of referrals. I was receiving a lot of referrals from physicians, because a lot of people were saying, we need social workers, and couldn't figure out how to hire a social worker. And one day I got a call that said, there is an investment at Massachusetts General Hospital. They really want to invest in improving dementia care at the institution, throughout MGB. So there our leader, Vicki Jackson, who is the division chief for palliative care and geriatric medicine, and our founder, Roman DeSanctis, who many people may know. He's sort of legendary, but he became concerned when he was a cardiologist here since he was a medical student. And Dr. DeSanctis is now in his 90s, and about, 7-8 years ago, his wife was diagnosed with dementia, and he really began to recognize what more could be done. And he joined with Vicki Jackson, and we were able to find philanthropic funding to start the Dementia Care Collaborative. And it really started out as the caregiver support program, but has grown in the ways that we've seen it grow, including bringing Christine Ritchie on from UCF. We recruited her to come over and help us with research and with leadership of our program. And she's going to take us far, far, far more than where we can even dream right now. So that was the inspiration. Someone who lived the experience and has had the ability to have some impact, which was great.
Well, and that, if you think about that, lived experience is really at the heart of everything that's impactful for families walking this journey.
Yeah.
Of course, that lived experience inspired an incredible philanthropic gift, which planted the seed, laid the foundation for the program. But it's also, I think, what keeps people coming back, because when you think of the support groups, or even things like Ageless Grace, where people come and they get to have a new experience in a setting that maybe they didn't ever envision themselves in. Like, many people who are caregivers said, I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a dementia caregiver. And it's a way to, I think the work that you do reminds us that you can still make new memories of joy.
Yes.
While living a life with a dementia diagnosis.
Yes. And if I didn't say that, I should have said it 10 times, because that's really something that we try to incorporate with our resiliency courses, that there are ways to find just moments. Every moment of joy that you can find needs to be celebrated. And you learn to start to create those moments of joy when you can. So.
Yeah. So, I think everything that you talked about really encapsulates the elements that are needed for caregiving, which is that, like I think of the dementia care consultation, or I know that's a term, probably a specific name with the Alzheimer's Association, but the care consultation probably talks a lot about like logistics, technical things like if you need an adult day health program, how do you find that? Why would that be something that would help? You talk about those very specific aspects.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I think one of the things that happens is this is from many, many years of doing this, and I'll share a little secret that is my favorite part of doing care consultations, is that people will come in very nervous. Yeah. This is not something you wanted to a club you didn't want to be a part of, right? And so sometimes people come in and they're either they're anxious because they're so excited to talk to someone, or they might be nervous about it. But throughout the process of just being able to tell their story and to have someone really listen to their story, which often is well-meaning as doctors are, there is just not the time to hear the story. So that's a big part of what we provide. And being able to talk about some of the experiences you've had, which you may have never mentioned to anyone else. A big conversation is about, how do we tell people? When do we tell our family and friends that this is happening? The whole spectrum of conversations that can happen and need to happen often. All the way to, very specifically, maybe an immediate need is that the care partner needs some respite. And the person with dementia needs something to do, needs something that will be really engaging for them and get them out of the house and get them active. So maybe an adult day health program is a good idea. So we can look at, again, how do we make that work? How do you find a good program? And then how do you make it work? There's a whole process. It's not just a matter of making a phone call. There are several steps that are required, and we walk you through that. But my secret is that sometimes before, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through the meeting, 9 times out of 10, I see people sitting up straighter, people sort of lighting up, like they found a purpose. Not a purpose, that was the wrong word. You find a sense of hope.
Yeah.
That there is hope, that we can do this, that we're not alone, and that there is somebody who can hold our hand along the way.
Yeah, and that there can be a sense of personhood and dignity integrated into that care planning. And, when you said listen to their story, I think when we listen to the stories of our families that we're caring for, we also hear their values, their culture, their goals of care. And I think that's why it's not just a phone call. Like, here's the program. This is what you need to do. It really is individualized.
Yes, very much so. And it's such an honor just to me, people have said to me so many times, oh, this must be such hard work to do. But I've never had a better job. I just couldn't dream of anything better. And I think it is the connections that we make with people because we have the opportunity to really listen and to get to know people. And it has been so rewarding to be in this position. It's an honor when people open up and share their story with you.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I would like to take a moment to acknowledge something that you and I talked about when we were preparing. And that was incredibly insightful that you shared with me that one of the reasons why this range of programming is important to you through the Dementia Care Collaborative is that you know from your experience as a professional in this area that there have been families that you've provided help and support along their journeys, and they still have struggled. And I think that that's because this is not an easy thing. And I really just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that asking for help, wanting to get connected with the community is not a sign that you're not capable. It's just a sign that this is a really big and often daunting new role to
Yeah.
be a care partner.
Yeah. And I there's no way to sugarcoat it. It is just one of the hardest things that people face. But knowing, sort of just even knowing that there is a path, right? It's not finding the path, but is there even a path to walk? So then you got to find the path once you get the hint that maybe there is a path out there. So, and then someone to help you navigate that path, because there's going to be bumps and hills and mountains to climb, but you're not alone. And that's the biggest thing that I think we try to communicate as well, is that whatever problem comes up, you're not alone. You've got people here who have been doing this work for many, many years. And usually things that happen, we're able to really think through and strategize and really help people through crises, and as well as the planning for the future.
Well, that's tremendous, Susan. And thank you so much for everything you share with us today. As we wrap up our time together, I want to remind people how they can connect. You did a beautiful job talking about that, but it sounds like if we were going to send one message, it would be to send people to your website.
Yes.
Can you remind us of the website address?
It is. It's pretty easy to remember, even though it's a mouthful. It's www.dementiacarecollaborative.org.
And if someone says, oh my gosh, that program that Susan talked about sounded so interesting, it's such a bummer I missed it, is there a way for them to see any of the previous programs?
Yes, so all of our Health and Resiliency Tuesdays and our conversations with caregivers, for instance, are videotaped, much like yours. And on our website, you can find everything we did in 2020 and 2021, and now we're starting 2022. So there's a lot of programs to go back and look at.
We're all building a library.
Yeah, we are.
And in our support groups, many of the people who watch the webinars know that the MGH FTD unit has caregiver support groups as well. And at the beginning of every support group, Amy Almeida is so good about talking about upcoming resources and events. And we always talk about any events that are coming out of the Dementia Care Collaborative.
Thank you. That's great. Wonderful.
Yeah. So my action item for those of you who are watching today, go to the Dementia Care Collaborative website, join the email list, and think of it as another resource for your journey. These are things that can be helpful to you. You can share with your loved ones. You can even share them with other providers who are caring for your loved one if you find something that resonates and will help with your loved one's care plan. And I think I just want to reiterate that caring for yourself, finding ways to enhance your knowledge and understanding of your role, that is care for your loved one. along this journey.
That's it. That's such an important way to look at it, such important perspective. And I think so much of this is about perspective. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Susan. This has been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
The MGH FTD program is a clinical research program dedicated to providing the highest quality of care while working tirelessly towards a cure for frontotemporal disorders, atypical Alzheimer's disease, and related dementias. We're incredibly thankful for your time and attention today. Until we see you again, stay safe and be well.